It's funny, man. And that's also there with like this part of the music, right? Like the idea being that if God is such a magnificent being, you can't hurt that ego by just being abusive to God.
Yeah.
Like, if your God holds wrath in its heart, then it's not God. Like,
there's a famous sentence for Ziad Rahbani when he says, if God actually exists, because he's an atheist, he says, if God actually exists, then, and as you say, he does, then he's very, very big and way, way more big than to actually be annoyed by someone as little as me saying something so bullshit as that he doesn't exist.
True.
yeah.
So why are you bothered?
I think remember this. Ricky Jay was saying that I thank God for making me an atheist. So
Nice one.
Yeah. I'm at a skew here. I'm at a minority here. I think we need to practice confessionalism because I'm the only believer here, while you atheists have a ball and laugh. I need my rights.
There's room for everyone, man.
Yeah.
I absolutely don't believe in God anymore. But I think I like if you're celebrating Diwali, which is happening right now in India, which is all the fireworks and the sweets and good food and everything. That's something I can't say no to that. I want all of that, but it's associated with God and religion. Fine, you can have it. I'll have the food and, and the fireworks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. It's very tied to our traditions.
yeah.
And I don't know, what's different here is also like, I think Vinod and I have spoken about this as well. If you look at some of the Hindu scriptures, right, which is the most, like, even if you take the most ancient one, which is the Rig Veda, is the oldest scripture. And one of the first hymns that you have is like a hymn of creation. So then it's a very poetic language on how the universe was created and everything. But the last two lines are very beautiful because he says, how this magnificence has come across, maybe you alone know the answer, or maybe even you don't. Which is like questioning the very existence that, maybe even God, you don't know what's going on. So it's quite, and that's one of the most ancient hymns that we have. So
I remember, Vishnu, you telling that how everything is a pair in all our scriptures. It's always this conjectures and refutations. So you think they're saying something good, it'll be immediately followed by next line questioning something.
But it's like a recurring theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's called koans. It's called koans in English.
I see.
The English equivalent to it. So
Yeah, but that's a very good way to get on both sides of the truth. If it swings this way or the other, then you're always you've said it somewhere.
No. It doesn't swing either way. So the idea is that So, for example, one of the verses would say that God is supreme, right? He lives in the heaven, and the heaven being such a far off place where you die and go there and stuff like that. So the definition is, God is farther than the farthest. So now, you've grasped that concept. I reach God only when I die and go to heaven. But the very next line is, he's nearer than the nearest. So it's opposite lines just after each other. So now you're like, dude, what the hell? You just by the time I comprehended the fact that he's far away in heaven, the next sentence, he's nearer than the nearest. So then the interpretation of that is that if you go out looking for it in the outer world, you will have to travel thus far to ever reach it. But if you look within, it's that supreme soul right inside. It's closer than the closest. So that's how say a scholar would derive an interpretation out of it. So you've got multiple.
Yeah.
This is where multiple interpretations come in.
But honestly, the way I see
text.
it is that this to me. I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist because I don't even know if there exists a God or not. But if you define it this way, this is the most vague and the least clear definition of a God, and I think that was the point, because it was supposed to be left open to interpretation.
Exactly.
Because Yeah, and that's what tells me that if you actually know it, then say it properly. It's not, it's left so open that people can actually abuse it and use it in look at how religion is being used right now.
Very true. Look, but that's the sad part of it, right? Which I agree, that when it's just open to interpretation, and that's the question I think every religion or religious masters get posed to, that hey, if you know it to be the truth, why don't you explain it to us? The idea there, in a very philosophical way, is that look, if I have to define to you something, there are two possible ways I can do it. One is a descriptive definition, right? So if I have to define to you what a banana is, I'll tell you it's a fruit. It's got a yellow skin, and then it's a sweet fruit once you eat it. But now that's me assuming that you've shared the experience that I have of having eaten a banana. Now let's say you've never seen a banana all your life, but I have, and I have eaten it. So how can I define that to you? So then I use something called an indicative definition. So an indicative definition is that, it will be bright yellow. You've got to peel it off, and it'll have a sweet taste to it with seeds inside of it, and it's got a white long shaft. Now what are you to make out of it? So one can be a very descriptive definition of what is, which is describable, but unless you have that experience, I can only do an indicative definition. So the Indian philosophy of doing is not to suggest what it is, but to suggest what it isn't. So when the teacher and the disciple asks, is the sun the God? He says, no. What about the moon and the stars? No. So once you negate everything, what would be left of it? And he says that which encompasses everything is also God. So because you're trying to theorize something that ideally cannot be described.
Exactly.
And it's like an experience. Yeah.
I agree. But yeah, that's
religions are trying to describe it.
Yeah, that's entirely the point.
Yeah.
And I agree, but by also putting so many contradictory statements about the same thing, then you also make everything about it true. Everything that anyone can interpret is true, and that sounds to me like a way to gather followers. Very simply put, I mean, I understand what the theological and philosophical idea behind religions is, but if you look at it very practically, it's always been used as just a way of mass managing populations. That's it.
But that's also happened with communism, right? Like it had nothing to do with religion.
Absolutely. You need a tool to manage populations, but do you want them to be that delusional? Is the question.
Do you think there is a generation in Lebanon right now which has seen through religion?
There is a what?
Is there a generation. An age group of people which has seen through religion?
I think there is a growing number of people refusing religion, mostly because it's also being forced on them by their surrounding and their environment. And but you can also see a very violent lashback against refusing your own religion. You get varying reactions depending on how conservative your family might be, but it might lead up to being disowned or even maybe killed in some of the very backwards communities.
I think it goes back to the society that's become very polarized with the political situation in Lebanon among youths. It also applies to religion, like how religious are you? There are some people who indeed just went more to the atheist side, and there are still some people who went more extreme to the religious side. Because of
and is it across?
Situation.
Is it across all religions, or is it like all religion and all sects, or is it like predominantly one religion that's turning?
I would say it's it is across religions, but you're also very limited by your own surroundings, because you're born in a certain area from a certain sect or religion, and you go to a school that is from a certain religion, and you mix with people that are basically from the same religion as yours. So at the end of the day, even though you still make a lot of friends along the way from different backgrounds, most of your data pool, let's say, is people who are basically just like you.
So where do you socialize though? Like, is there a common playground where you play football but do you only play with yourself?
Yeah, we have very little public spaces in Lebanon. That's also a thing. Squares and parks and stuff like that have either been closed down or replaced by parking lots or declared a security area. So people don't really mix that much. They mix a lot in cafes or in restaurants and pubs.
Yeah.
But then again, you always mix with sort of your type of people by the place you're going to. But yeah,
there is like a marbreel, which is kind of a mix of everything.
Yeah, for
It's
young
like
people, there are some streets where there are like pubs and
some areas of Beirut mostly.
But they're also attacked very violently a lot of times. There are some LGBTQ communities there that regularly get attacked, and also the people who live in those areas, because there's also no way to organize the city in a way that everybody gets their own place. So you have pubs that are open in residential areas, and then the people who live there are complaining about the parking and the noises and the drunk people, and then issues start happening, and then they move to another street or whatever. But in terms of public places where people from different backgrounds socialize, I think universities are where you mostly get in touch with different types of people.
Yeah, or like music schools or football clubs or something.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you say they are getting attacked, is that getting shouted at, punched, stabbed, or shot?
No, like actual proper attack. They get like there's like this group that's called the Soldiers of God, and
It's an English name or is an Arabic?
no, it's in Arabic, but that's the translation.
Is that a moral police sort of thing?
Yeah, and
They
basically
consider themselves
like
like no one annoying them.
like a Christian militia type vigilante moral police, and they just go around terrorizing people. They actually like go and beat up people, and the police would actually stand and watch them and not even react, because the LGBTQ community is now getting the grunt of the punishment in Lebanon. Everything is being poured on them, because that's the only thing that all religions can agree on, that they hate gay people. So
This is horrible, honestly.
So they get it from all the sides. Then they get no support.
Yeah. They even like it's so blatant in your face that at some point you could see that a crash is gonna come. For example, between the Sunnis and the Shias, and then some guy goes up and he says, "I'm ready to put my hand in the hand of Hezbollah to fight this gay wave that's coming our way." And then all of a sudden, the Sunnis and the Shias, they love each other because those gay motherfuckers are coming to fuck us.
Oh, this is funny, man. This is funny.
It's really sad. Some people are really suffering though. But
Yeah.
it's really ironic listening. You know, it really sounds like a badly written comedy show.
Yeah.
Oh, God. What about sports though? That should be a uniting factor for Shias and Sunnis and Christians and whatnot. Is there no football team or cricket team?
There used to be a really powerful basketball team
Okay.
that won the Asian Championships, I think, one point. But I think people need to move past just the religious parts, and this is very difficult because they're being controlled by the warlords who actually fought the Civil War on those religious lines. So getting out of it is going to take a very big, massive change in the way we see leadership and politics and who we choose to represent us. And that's not happening soon. At least that's how I see it.
So basically, we've kind of been exploring each one of those things which we can find as, okay, maybe this will start a unification process of sorts or something, right? So is one of the themes that we are exploring is nationalism. Out of everything, one thing that's missing here seems to be nationalism. So if at all a Lebanese nationalism or a nationalist movement needs to take place, one was that you guys won your freedom from the French colonizers, but if it has to be a stage 2, considering how things are at the present, where should it start? Like, who should?
Funny because a lot of the parties are called national movement or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to call it that, but where do you guys think that it should start? Like, who should actually apologize for the others' sin? Who should reach out, extend their hands, or like how would it start and where would it start? You guys don't even have parks to like assemble now.
I think it starts from a fresh slate. It's very difficult to start it from the bottom because you need a base of politically aware citizens who are willing to work with each other across a lot of differences to achieve that, and that will be difficult. But also with the current leadership, nothing is going to be allowed to manifest into something useful. So I have no idea where it starts, but I know that with those present now, it's not going to be possible. And it's not that it's someone's fault and someone should apologize or not, but it's just that someone entirely fresh, entirely new, that has no baggage from what happened, needs to set things straight somehow in terms of what happened and how do we move forward, because this is obviously not working.
Yeah, and it's not like agreed upon yet.
Are you hopeful?
I don't think so. That's why I'm in the Netherlands. I feel like you have to have hope, but I think it's not going to be like in my lifetime, or at least not anytime soon, because it's a very complicated history and complicated problems that happened after all of the crises that we had. But I don't think one apology is going to be like starting to apologize needs first aware citizens so that they could appreciate the apology and then move forward, and that we don't have that yet, I think.
Yeah, I have a different perspective actually. I think there might be something unifying all the people, but it might be something really shitty, like, I don't know, maybe half of the population dying from something really, really bad happening that allows people to say, okay, we're all human beings, we experience the same things.
We suffered together.
We suffer together, yeah.
Like the explosion?
I guess something greater than that, I don't know, because it didn't do shit and people are still in power.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't mean to be around this shit happening until people like realize, okay, we need better people and we need better ruling.
Yeah.
So until then, I'm kind of watching and hopefully.
Honestly, I feel really conflicted because on one side, you spent your entire life there, or at least most of it now, and you feel like, maybe I have a responsibility for the place I was born in. Maybe I should do something about it if I know so much about how things should be done or whatever. But then again, you think back to, okay, but what hand was I dealt in this life? What was I offered? And why do I have responsibility for where I was? And you start looking around you and you start thinking, okay, if we're going to pull through this shit, who do I have to work with? And you start seeing that less and less, you can relate less and less to all the people around you. You think way more differently than a lot of the people who you're supposed to be working with, and you feel like it's all working against you. So you're not even part of a system. You're just like stagnant water waiting to die. So you see that your only option is to just pack up and go, because you don't even see it being solved in the next 80 years or in your lifetime. So you would think that, okay, I'm going to spend my entire life trying to swim against the flow, or maybe dying someday in an explosion that was just about negligence and poor planning, or could have been avoided. or you could just die from a stray bullet because guns are everywhere and there is no safety or control. So the risks at some point outweigh what benefit you should be giving to that country. You feel like, am I going to be just another wasted life here? Or should I think about what am I going to do with my future instead of trying to fix the entire country's problem?
No, I agree. I don't really know why you should feel responsible to a state which has given you nothing but misery, and then probably this constant thought process running in the back of your head about its people. Exactly. And then
but at the same time, I guess we are all expats here, and we've all had this feeling that, like, this homesick, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that my country gave me materially, but
I see it as a curse. Let's just put upon you, because you were just happened to be born there, and automatically, because that's where you grew up, you have like nostalgic feelings of being attached to that place. But at some point, that place doesn't even exist anymore. The people who you used to know probably either all left or died or changed or whatever, and the place itself also is changing continuously, and this is life. But
true,
in which way it's changing tells you if you want to be there for it or not. And the way Lebanon is changing, I really don't want to be there for it. It's getting more and more restrictive, less and less free, and there's less and less room for people who are different than
like-minded
everybody
people.
else.
Yeah.
I mean, see, I just, like, it's just my 2 cents to it, right? Like, of course, what everybody needs to do is, like, see what's in their best interest. But I think the curse that you mentioned is the curse of patriotism. You don't know what it is that you're missing, but you're missing something. And it's not necessarily the people, it's not the land. You can't pinpoint on what exactly it is, but there's this void. And right, like even if you look at India and the successive invasions that we've had, the earliest rebellion that we had to have a free country was in 1857, and we eventually got independence only in 1947. So
that's 100 years.
That's 100 years, and people ought to know that. See, sometimes the change that I want to see will never be in my lifetime, but that's not the point. The point is to make sure it does happen in some time. Like it's that old saying, right? Like, I will not live to see if the sapling that I planted will become a tree, but I know that as long as I did what I have to do, that's water it, take care of it, it will eventually.
But man, if you live in a desert, you know this tree won't make it.
And honestly, that's what it's about. Seeing how many people also thought that they were doing the right thing and then failed miserably, or it turns out, I mean, even Jesus with all the love and peace and compassion talk, and they fought crusades and wars in his name and inquisitions and everything. So at some point, I would argue that even doing what you think you're supposed to do is actually actively pushing to an idea that you don't even know is going to be for the ultimate good or not.
Quite true. And that's what I want to, like, highlight as a difference, right? Like, for Indian leaders, that was actually like a baton. It was passed on, knowing that, hey, after me, you will still do this. So you had an end in sight, and you had good leaders. And I think that's where the dearth in Lebanon is, because I don't think anybody can agree on who the leader is to begin with.
No, I suppose, Vishnu, I think that's in India's case. India were completely united against the British and the French and the Dutch who were ruling India at that point. But the problem with Lebanon is there is factions within, no? Just the interest.
Yeah. There is no one. Yeah, there is no one leader.
Indian Muslims and Indian Christians and Hindus were together against the British for the freedom fight. But that's unfortunately not the case in Lebanon, though.
No, absolutely not. Instead, the Christians even worked with and advocated for the French, and they were happy to be, sort of being the special people. But what you were saying about this sense of emptiness and you don't even know how to pinpoint it. I got a T-shirt once, and apparently the Welsh found a name for it. And it's called Hiraeth, and it's called Welsh homesickness for a home you can't return to or that never was. So it's
What is it called?
yeah, it's really interesting definition. I don't know if you can read it.
Hiraeth.
I don't know how
Hiraeth.
I don't even know how you pronounce it. Hiraeth.
I think Herath.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very interesting thing to coin. A very interesting term.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's on the verge of giving up, but not yet.
It's being homesick to a country that never was, or that doesn't exist anymore, or to a place. So it's basically knowing that you know that it's not your country that you're homesick to or that you miss, but it's something that doesn't exist anymore. It's just the experience that you had in the past. It's your childhood basically that you miss.
I think it's the fact that you belonged somewhere that doesn't exist anymore, because people are always looking for a place or a community or something to belong to. And if it's gone, like physically, but also, if it's gone physically, then it also starts to fade away figuratively.
Do you think it's part of the reason why people try to preserve surnames? Because they've kind of internalized this idea that it was never there, it probably never will be. So at least, in the name of my son, he can trace back to where he belonged. Just in case that place doesn't exist anymore.
I think it was more of a connectivity, like for public relations.
Yeah, maybe. You think so?
Yeah, like if I'm well connected, I don't know, I would go and send my son.
Oh yeah,
To make
and then
the
you will
deal
tell
with
him
you.
I'm the son of this guy. So yeah, probably that sounds logical.
Oh, he's from Sicily.
Alright,
Don't
guys.
mess with him. He's like the baddest mafia there. Yeah. All right. I think this was a story worth sharing. I think
It's awfully kind of you to
Thanks,
share all
guys.
this.
It's really nice that you guys are that interested in Lebanon.
Yeah.
I don't know if we provided I'm pretty sure we didn't provide a full picture, but at least we gave our experience of it. I'm pretty sure if you ask other people, you'll get very different stories. So I think that's what's worth gathering and sharing, because we don't have a collective story yet. So we have to make it piece by piece.
Yeah, it's also because I think people talk about something only when it's like up in the news. Like once something's like something like what's happening in Ukraine, right? Nobody wants to talk about Ukraine right now. It's just like disappeared. And I think Lebanon's been that. Like nobody, once you just like get your hands out of that problem and focus on something else, then it's all gone. So I think it's a story worth being told, and it's a problem that's worth being solved. And it's not that difficult, to be very honest. If with all of this chaos, if Lebanon is still functionally not a failed state and it exists, that just shows the will of the people still exists, right? Regardless of what you say or what you do.
You mentioned that in the beginning, and I wanted to come back to that at some point, but never got to. I think that's also where things go wrong. This sort of will of the people is what makes it also so resilient to things going so wrong, and they would still do it anyway, the same way. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're heading again towards another civil war in the way we're polarizing people, and we still haven't learned from what happened just in less than half a century ago. So I think this way of this kind of self image of Lebanese people, because they have it of themselves. We're very resilient. We don't care about the war. We party the next day. Yeah, that's not a good thing. I don't think this is the right attitude to actually build a country, when you don't care that much about all the pain and misery and suffering happening around you. That means you're not connected with people who are living on the same soil and who are part of the same country and government.
Tina and JP, you guys have any final thoughts?
No, that's it. And I just want to say, like you said, I think it's very easy to solve it, especially Lebanon is a very small country.
Yeah.
So it's like probably 5 millions maximum.
Maybe 7,
Maybe 7
7.
millions.
Okay.
including refugees and everything.
Yeah, 5 million plus 2 million
Yeah.
refugees.
Yeah. That's less than the population of my city, guys. Like my city.
Yeah, man.
Like
Well,
So
It's
like,
less than that.
if you want to solve a problem for a country this
Yeah.
big, I don't think the planning would be that much of a big, like,
I think
I
the
don't know.
execution
Exactly.
is where it goes wrong.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people get executed instead of the plan being executed. So I think that's the problem. Right.
Do you think Lebanon was unfortunate, like geographically positioned between like Israel and Syria? Because it's a beautiful country with all the coastline, the mountain ranges, so much to enjoy and explore, and the famous city, the Paris of the Middle East. But do you think it's just unfortunate that you got sandwiched between Syria and Israel?
Well, I've never thought
I
of it
think-
this way. I've always like, I was born in this spot. This has always been there.
I think the unfortune lies in when like foreign countries interfere. So it's not about like, oh, we like Syria is here and Israel is there, but Israel didn't exist. It's actually Palestine, like the original people that lived there. I think the interference is what made it difficult.
Yeah, I also never thought about it that way, if it's unfortunate or not. But I always wonder about why was it even made a country in the first place? What were the interests that culminated into carving off this piece of land this way? And I think a lot of those questions, would answer themselves in time a little bit. I mean, the question of Israel and all the support and why it was put there and everything is answering itself day by day. And the misfortune or unfortunate is what you do with the hand you're dealt, and we basically didn't manage properly. And I don't think that the people who live on that spot in particular are much to blame, because they were basically given a country back when maybe no countries existed or very few countries existed, and they were supposed to manage when they had absolutely no experience in governing themselves. So it was a bit expected that it would be rough. But this is there's a lot of self-blame in it, I would say.
Yeah. But also from Vinod's question, right? There's a fantastic book. It's called Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall. I think you guys should give it a read.
I have
it explains a lot of I think you guys should definitely
it's
give
right
that
there.
a read. It might offer some sort of an explanation.
We have it there. There it is. I can see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, the blue color one. Yes.
I have a request actually. I think of the 2 hours that we spoke, there was this one period which was genuinely jovial, and then we were laughing about it was when we spoke about the music and literature and everything, if I remember. So I have a selfish request to put, is to, since you are musicians yourself, I think you should take that Lebanese folk tunes or whatever is Lebanese musically or art-wise together all along your life. So if you're jamming together, Elias and JP, I think you should always sneak in one Lebanese song into that. If you could, that would be great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks. We will definitely.
That's a nice
do
request.
that. Yeah.
I think that would survive. That will stand the test of time, regardless of the politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we should add some every now and then.
Yeah.
Learn a few
Exactly, man.
new
Yep.
Lebanese tunes.
yeah.
Yep.
All right. It was really
All
nice.
right.
It's
Yeah,
nice
it was
talking
nice
to you
talking
guys.
to you
guys.
Awfully sweet. It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you too.
It was super
You
nice
too.
that you guys had 2 hours and 28 minutes, man, for this. I mean, I think
course.
it deserves more. I think we're doing it like not full justice, but like you said, we have more stories to gather, and then
Yeah.
hopefully,
Maybe more will come.
yep.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
JP,
Indeed.
Take care,
Tina,
guys.
Thanks a lot.
Elias, thank you so much.